Alms by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. My heart is what it was before, a house where people come and go, but it is winter with your love. The sashes are beset with snow. I light the lamp and lay the cloth. I blow the coals to blaze again, but it is winter with your love. The frost is thick upon the pane. I know a winter when it comes. The leaves are listless on the boughs. I watched your love a little while, and brought my plants into the house. I water them and turn them south. I snap the dead brown from the stem, but it is winter with your love. I only tend and water them. There was a time I stood and watched the small, ill-natured sparrows fray. I loved the beggar that I fed. I cared for what he had to say. I stood and watched him out of sight. Today, I reach around the door and set a bowl upon the step. My heart is what it was before, but it is winter with your love. I scatter crumbs upon the sill and close the window, and the birds may take or leave them as they will. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Altar by Edgar Lee Masters. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. My heart is an altar whereon many sacrificial fires have been kindled in praise of spring and Aphrodite. My heart is an altar of chalcedony, crowned with a tablet of bronze, blacked with smoke, scarred with fire, and scented with the aromatic bitterness of dead incense. Albeit let us murmur a little Doric prayer over the ashes which lie scattered around the altar. For the April rain has wept over them, and from them the crocus melts its Roman gold. What though there are remnants here of faded coronals, and bits of silver string torn from forgotten harps? Perfect amid the ashes sleeps a cup of amethyst. Let us take it and pour the sea from it, and while the savor of dead lips is washed away, let us lift our hands to this sky of hyacinth. Let us light the altar newly, for lo, it is spring. Bring from the rekindled woodland flames of columbine, jewel weed, and trumpet creeper. There where the woodman burns the fallen tree, and scented smoke arises on azure wings between the branches, budding with adolescent life. With these let us light the altar, that a scarlet flame may lean against the silver sea. For thou art fire also, and air and water, and the resurgent earth. For thou art woman, thou art love. Thou art April of the Arcadian moon. Thou art the swift sun racing through snowy clouds. Thou art the creative silence of flowering valleys. Thy face is the apple tree in bloom. Thine eyes the glimpses of green water, where the trees' blossoms shake as soft winds fan them. Thy hair is flame blown against the sea's mist. Thou art spring. The fire on the altar burns brightly, and the sea sparkles in the sun. Let us murmur a Doric prayer for the gift of love, for the gift of life. O life, O love, we lift our hands to thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An April Song by George C. Michael, Lance Corporal R.E. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. Written on leave at Stratford-on-Avon. Orchard land, damson blossom, primrose bloom, Avon, like a silver band, winds from Stratford down to Broome. All the orchards simmer white for an April day's delight. We have risen in our might, left this land we love to fight, fighting still that these may stand, orchard land, orchard land. Running stream, ruddy tench and silver perch, Shakespeare loved the water's gleam, sparkling on by Welford church. Water fay meets woodland gnome, where the silver eddies foam, through the richly scented loam. We are fain to see our home, see again thy silver gleam, running stream, running stream. Silver throats, piping blackbird, trilling thrush, Shakespeare heard your merry notes, still you herald morning's blush. You shall sing your anthems grand, when we've finished what he planned. God will hear and understand, God will give us back our land, where the water lily floats, silver throats, silver throats. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Atavism by Cale Young Rice. Read for LibriVox.org by AnnaLisa Bodtker. I leant over a ledging cliff and looked down into the sea, where weed and kelp and dulse swayed in green translucency, where the abalone clung to the rock and the starfish lay about, purpling the sands that slid away under the silver trout. And the sea urchin too was there, and the sea anemone. It was a world of watery shapes and hues and wizardry. And I felt old stirrings waken me under the tides of time, sea hauntings I had brought with me out of the ancient slime. And now as I muse, I cannot rid my senses of the spell that in a tidal trance all things around me drift and swell. Under the sea of the universe, down into which strange eyes kept peering at me as I peered with wonder and surmise. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Autumn by G. H. Cole from the Harvard Advocate, January 29, 1920. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Perard. They are raking the leaves in the yard today. They lie in golden heaps. On the sward around them the children play, and the agile squirrel leaps, while the pigeons drop circling on slate-gray wings to hands that strew them grain. One lights on my fingers and cautiously clings, flutters and clings again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Band of Gideon by Joseph Seaman Cotter, Jr. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. The Band of Gideon. The band of Gideon roam the sky. The howling wind is their war cry. The thunder roll is their trump's peal, and the lightning flash their vengeful steel. Each black cloud is a fiery steed, and they cry aloud with each strong deed, the sword of the Lord and Gideon. And men below rear temples high, and mock their God with reasons why, and live in arrogance, sin, and shame, and rape their souls for the world's good name. Each black cloud is a fiery steed, and they cry aloud with each strong deed, the sword of the Lord and Gideon. The band of Gideon roam the sky, and view the earth with baleful eye. In holy wrath they scourge the land with earthquake, storm, and burning brand. Each black cloud is a fiery steed, and they cry aloud with each strong deed, the sword of the Lord and Gideon. The lightnings flash and the thunders roll, and Lord have mercy on my soul, cry men as they fall on the stricken sod in agony searching for their God. Each black cloud is a fiery steed, and they cry aloud with each strong deed, the sword of the Lord and Gideon. And men repent and then forget that heavenly wrath they ever met. The band of Gideon yet will come and strike their tongues of blasphemy dumb. Each black cloud is a fiery steed, and they cry aloud with each strong deed, the sword of the Lord and Gideon. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Burial of an Infant by Henry Vaughan, 1621 to 1695. Read for LibriVox.org. The Burial of an Infant. Blessed infant bud, whose blossom life did only look about and fall, wearied out in a harmless strife of tears and milk, the food of all. Sweetly didst thou expire, thy soul flew home unstained by his new kin, for ere thou knewest how to be foul, death weaned thee from the world and sin. Softly rest all thy virgin crumbs, lapped in the sweets of thy young breath, expecting till thy Saviour comes to dress them and unswaddle death. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Cassandra by Charles Mackay. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. We live in a time of sorrow and change, when the old goeth down to destruction, and the new cometh sadly to life, unshapely, unwelcome, uncared for. When fact is at war with idea, and thought hath no rest for her pinions, no ground for her wandering feet. A time for tears to flow like streams when the wild rain tempests blow. Woe to the nations, woe to them, woe! We live in a time of sorrow, when faith hath gone out from the earth, and old superstitions are dying, when opinion hath nothing to stand on, but stubble of dry mathematics, and marrowless graveyards of logic. When the few who can think look around them, and sigh that all thinking is vain. A time for cheeks to glow at the shame and the wrong of this world below. Woe to the nations, woe to them, woe! We live in a time of sorrow, when the ship that bears our lives hath neither crew nor pilot, and drives through the merciless billows, the cloud and the lightning above it, the rocks and the whirlpools under, when the men and the women and children sit wringing their hands, imploring the gods who alone can save. A time when the world shall know how deep the roots of its misery grow. Woe to the nations! Woe to them! Woe! We live in a time of sorrow, when men have no thought but of money and carnal delights it will bring them, of mansions and horses and statues, and power to outglitter their neighbours, when women are slaves to their raiment, and prattle all day about nothings, unless they do worse, and outbabble the preachers of bloodshed and hatred. A time when the high and low shall share in the pitiless overthrow. Woe to the nations! Woe to them! Woe! We live in a time of sorrow, when mockery crushes reason, and heartless laughter settles all doubts that the wise man feels, when reverence hath departed, and worship is dead and buried, or sleeps, if it live at all, in the souls of little children. A time when the ebb and flow murmur alike that the whirlwinds blow. Woe to the nations! Woe to them! Woe! We live in a time of sorrow, when statesmen and chiefs and rulers have nothing to build on but quicksands, and nothing to do but to cobble the rickety, crazy thrones that can scarcely bear their burdens. And when priests at their mouldering altars no longer have faith in the doctrine they preach for the lucre it brings them, and scarcely conceal from the people the fact that they prophesy falsely. A time for blood to flow, and the earth to stagger to and fro. Woe to the nations! Woe to them! Woe! End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Children's Crusade, 1212, by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by April 6090, California, United States of America. What is this I read in history? Full of marvel, full of mystery. Difficult to understand? Is it fiction? Is it truth? Children in the flower of youth. Heart in heart and hand in hand. Ignorant of what helps or harms. Without armor, without arms. Journeying to the Holy Land. Who shall answer or divine? Never since the world was made, such a wonderful crusade started forth for Palestine. Never while the world shall last will it reproduce the past. Never will it see again such an army, such a band, over mountain, over main, journeying to the Holy Land. Like a shower of blossoms blown from the parent trees were they, like a flock of birds that fly through the unfrequented sky. Holding nothing as their own, passed they into lands unknown, passed to suffer and to die. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Crocuses by Francis E.W. Harper, read for LibriVox.org by Michele Fry, in April 2018. They heard the south wind sighing, a murmur of the rain, and they knew that earth was longing to see them all again. While the snowdrops still were sleeping beneath the silent sod, they felt their new life pulsing within the dark, cold clod. Not a daffodil nor daisy had dared to raise its head, not a fair-haired dandelion peeped timid from its bed. Though a tremor of the winter did shivering through them run, yet they lifted up their foreheads to greet the vernal sun. And the sunbeams gave them welcome, as did the morning air, and scattered o'er their simple robes rich tints of beauty rare. Soon a host of lovely flowers from vales and woodland burst, but in all that fair procession the crocuses were first. First to weave for earth a chaplet to crown her dear old head, and to beautify the pathway where winter still did tread. And their loved and white-haired mother smiled sweetly 'neath the touch when she knew her faithful children were loving her so much. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Dead by Rupert Brooke, read for LibriVox.org by Helen Z. Ferrara. Blow out, you bugles, over the rich dead. There's none of these so lonely and poor of old, but dying has made us rarer gifts than gold. These laid the world away, poured out the red, sweet wine of youth, gave up the years to be, of work and joy and that unhoped serene, that men call age, and those who would have been, their sons they gave their immortality. Blow, bugles, blow, they brought us for our dearth, holiness lacked so long, and love and pain. Honor has come back as a king to earth, and paid his subjects with a royal wage, and nobleness walks in our ways again, and we have come into our heritage. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Enkindled Spring by D. H. Lawrence, read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. This spring, as it comes, bursts up in bonfires green, wild puffing of emerald trees, and flame-filled bushes, thorn blossom lifting in wreaths of smoke between where the wood fumes up and the watery flickering rushes. I am amazed at this spring, this conflagration of green fires lit on the soil of the earth, this blaze of growing and sparks that puff in wild gyration, faces of people streaming across my gaze. And I, what fountain of fire am I among this leaping combustion of spring? My spirit is tossed about like a shadow buffeted in the throng of flames, a shadow that's gone astray and is lost. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Exposed Nest by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. You were forever finding some new play. So when I saw you down on hands and knees in the meadow, busy with the new cut hay, trying, I thought, to set it up on end, I went to show you how to make it stay, if that was your idea, against the breeze, and if you asked me, even help pretend to make it root again and grow afresh. But 'twas no make-believe with you today, nor was the grass itself your real concern, though I found your hand full of wilted ferns, steel-bright June grass, and blackening heads of clover. 'Twas a nest full of young birds on the ground. The cutter bar had just gone champing over, miraculously without tasting flesh, and left defenseless to the heat and light. You wanted to restore them to their right of something interposed between their sight and too much world at once. Could means be found? The way a nestful, every time we stirred, stood up to us as to a mother bird whose coming home has been too long deferred, made me ask would the mother bird return and care for them in such a change of scene? And might our meddling make her more afraid? That was a thing we could not wait to learn. We saw the risk we took in doing good, but dared not spare to do the best we could, though harm should come of it, so built the screen you had begun and gave them back their shade. All this to prove we cared. Why is there, then, no more to tell? We turn to other things. I haven't any memory, have you, of ever coming to the place again to see if the birds lived the first night through, and so at last to learn to use their wings. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Fairy Ball by R.F. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Fairy Ball. I am asked to the ball to-night, to-night. What shall I wear? For I must look right. Search in the fields for a lady's smock. Where could you find you a prettier frock? I am asked to the ball to-night, to-night. What shall I do for my jewels bright? Trouble you not for a brooch or a ring. A daisy chain is the properest thing. I am asked to the ball to-night, to-night. What shall I do if I shake with fright? When you are there, you will understand that no one is frightened in Fairyland. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Faith by Henry Vaughan, 1621 to 1695. Read for LibriVox.org. Faith, bright and blessed beam, whose strong projection, equal to all, reacheth as well things of dejection as the high and tall. How hath my God, by raying thee, enlarged his spouse, and of a private family made open house? All may be now co-heirs. No noise of bond or free can interdict us from those joys that wait on thee. The law and ceremonies made a glorious night, where stars and clouds both, light and shade, had equal right. But as in nature, when the day breaks, night adjourns, stars shut up shop, mists pack away, and the moon mourns. So when the Sun of Righteousness did once appear, that scene was changed, and a new dress left for us here. Veils became useless, altars fell, fires smoking die, and all that sacred pomp and shell of things did fly. Then did he shine forth, whose sad fall and bitter fights were figured in those mystical and cloudy rites. And as i' the natural sun, these three, light, motion, heat, so are now faith, hope, charity, through him complete. Faith spans up bliss, what sin and death put us quite from, lest we should run forth out of breath. Faith brings us home, so that I need no more but say, I do believe, and my most loving Lord straightway doth answer, live. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Flower from Borrow's Grave by E. Peake. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. A flower from Borrow's grave. A simple flower with heart of gold, what shouldst thou know of mortal sorrow, though thou hadst grown in London mould above the grave of mighty Borrow? So firm the hold, thy creeping root, so true thy purchase on the stone, thou there defiest the city suit, the careless step, the heat of noon. An emblem fair of Lavengro, thou art in all thy brave upbringing. Obscure he wandered to and fro, wrote joy on earth by faith upspringing. Like thee he loved the windy heath, he did not fear though storms might rave, he dreaded not the earth beneath, he chose his own, a London grave. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Intermezzo by Wallace Gould from Others for 1919. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Perard. Let us have music. Play the phonograph. Put on a record of a racing jazz. Dance, move, sing with the crazy strain. Dance, sing. I'm going outside to watch the moon. The moon is in the east, low in the east. The nicotiana grows beside the door. Dance, young singing people, while I am outside, watching the moon, smelling the nicotiana that grows beside the door. Far in the east, across the lake, so motionless, so black, is the bordering forest. The forest is a fringe of jet around the shimmering silk of the lake. Above the line of trees is a vast black cloud with an upper fringe of burnished gold, the gold of the rising moon. I am going outside to watch the moon and to smell the nicotiana that grows beside the door. I knew a lady who lived by night when soft was the music of long ago. I knew a lady whose presence was the burnished gold of moonlit clouds, or the scent of nicotiana, the flower that opens only at the coming of the moon. Dance, young singing people, dance away your singing youth. I remember the music of long ago, and though time is as black as a moonless murk, I cannot but remember the lady who lived by night, like the burnished gold of the clouds, like the scent of nicotiana. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
La Vie cérébrale by Robin Flower. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. I am alone, alone. There is nothing, only I. And when I will to die, all must be gone. Eternal thought in me puts on the dress of time, and builds a stage to mime its listless tragedy. And in that dress of time, and on that stage of space, I place, change, and replace life to a willful rhyme. I summon at my whim all things that are, that were, the high incredible air where stars, my creatures, swim. I dream, and from my mind the dead, the living come. I build a marble Rome, I give it to the wind. Athens and Babylon I breathe upon the night. Troy towers for my delight, and crumbles stone by stone. I change with white and green the seasons hour by hour. I think it is a flower. Think, and the flower has been. Men, women, things, a stream that wavers and flows by. A lonely dreamer, I build and cast down the dream. And one day weary grown of all my brain has wrought, I shall destroy my thought, and I and all be gone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Little Home Paper by Charles Hanson Towne. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. The Little Home Paper. The little home paper comes to me, as badly printed as it can be. It's ungrammatical, cheap, absurd, yet how I love each intimate word. For here am I in the teeming town, where the sad, mad people rush up and down, and it's good to get back to the old lost place, and gossip and smile for a little space. The weather's hot, the corn crop's good, they've had a picnic in Sheldon's Wood. And Aunt Maria was sick last week, Ike Morrison's got a swollen cheek, and the squire was hurt in a runaway. More shocked than bruised, I'm glad they say. Bert Wills, I used to play with him, is working a farm with his Uncle Jim. The Red Cross ladies gave a tea, and raised quite a bit. Old Sol McPhee has sold his house on Lincoln Road, he couldn't carry so big a load. The Methodist ministers had a call from a wealthy parish near St. Paul. And old Herb Sweet is married at last. He was 42. How the years rush past. But here's an item that makes me see what a puzzling riddle life can be. Ed Stokes, it reads, was killed in France when the Allies made their last advance. Ed Stokes, that boy with the laughing eyes as blue as the early summer skies. He wouldn't have killed a fly, and yet, without a murmur, without a regret, he left the peace of our little place and went away with a light in his face. For out in the world was a job to do, and he wouldn't come home till it was through. 4,000 miles from our tiny town and its hardware store, this boy went down. Such a quiet lad, such a simple chap, but he's put East Dunkirk on the map. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock by T.S. Eliot. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Vendetti. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells, streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. The yellow fog that rubs its back upon the window panes, the yellow smoke that rubs its muzzle on the window panes, licked its tongue into the corners of the evening, lingered upon the pools that stand in drains, let fall upon its back the soot that falls from chimneys, slipped by the terrace, made a sudden leap, and seeing that it was a soft October night, curled once about the house and fell asleep. And indeed there will be time for the yellow smoke that slides along the street, rubbing its back upon the window panes. There will be time to prepare a face to meet the faces that you meet. There will be time to murder and create, and a time for all the works and days of hands to lift and drop a question on your plate. Time for you and time for me, and time yet for 100 indecisions, and for 100 visions and revisions, before the taking of a toast and tea. In the room the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo. And indeed there will be time to wonder, do I dare, and do I dare? Time to turn back and descend the stair, with the bald spot in the middle of my hair. They will say, how his hair is growing thin. My morning coat, my collar mounting firmly to the chin, my necktie rich and modest, but asserted by a simple pin. They will say, but how his arms and legs are thin. Do I dare disturb the universe? In a minute there is time for decisions and revisions, which a minute will revise. For I have known them all already, known them all, have known the evenings, mornings, afternoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I know the voices dying with a dying fall beneath the music from a farther room. So how should I presume? And I have known the eyes already, known them all, the eyes that fix you in a formulated phrase. And when I am formulated, sprawling on a pin, when I am pinned and wriggling on the wall, then how should I begin to spit out all the butt-ends of my days and ways? And how should I presume? And I have known the arms already, known them all, arms that are braceleted and white and bare. But in the lamplight, down with light brown hair, is it the perfume from a dress that makes me so digress? Arms that lie along a table, or wrap about a shawl, and should I then presume? And how should I begin? Shall I say I have gone at dusk through narrow streets and watched the smoke that rises from the pipes of lonely men in shirt-sleeves leaning out of windows? I should have been a pair of ragged claws scuttering across the floors of silent seas. And the afternoon, the evening sleeps so peacefully, smoothed by long fingers, asleep, tired. Or it but lingers, stretched on the floor here beside you and me. Should I, after tea and cakes and ices, have the strength to force the moment to its crisis? But though I have wept and fasted, wept and prayed, though I have seen my head, grown slightly bald, brought in upon a platter, I am no prophet, and here's no great matter. I've seen the moment of my greatness flicker, and I have seen the eternal footman hold my coat and snicker, and in short, I was afraid. And would it have been worth it after all, after the cups, the marmalade, the tea, among the porcelain, among some talk of you and me? Would it have been worth while to have bitten off the matter with a smile? To have squeezed the universe into a ball, to roll it toward some overwhelming question, to say, I am Lazarus, come from the dead, come back to tell you all. I shall tell you all. If one setting a pillow by my head should say, that is not what I meant at all, that is not it at all. And would it have been worth it after all? Would it have been worthwhile? After the sunsets and the dooryards and the sprinkled streets, After the novels, after the teacups, after the skirts that trail along the floor. And this, and so much more. It is impossible to say just what I mean, but as if a magic lantern threw the nerves and patterns on a screen, would it have been worthwhile? If one, setting a pillow, throwing off a shawl, and turning toward the window should say, "That is not it at all. That is not what I meant at all. No, I am not Prince Hamlet, nor was meant to be. Am an attendant lord, one that will do. To swell a progress, start a scene or two. To advise the prince, no doubt an easy tool. Deferential, glad to be of use. Politic, cautious, and meticulous. Full of high sentence, but a bit obtuse. At times, indeed, almost ridiculous. Almost at times, the fool. I grow old. I grow old. I shall wear the bottoms of my trousers rolled. Shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? Shall I wear white flannel trousers and walk upon the beach? I have heard the mermaids singing, each to each. I do not think that they will sing to me. I have seen them riding seaward on the waves, combing the white hair of the waves blown back, when the wind blows the water white and black. We have lingered in the chambers of the sea, by sea-girls wreathed in seaweed, red and brown, till human voices wake us, and we drown. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Man by Ronald Ross. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Man putteth the world to scale, and weigheth out the stars. The eternal hath lost her veil, the infinite her bars. His balance he hath hung in heaven, and set the sun therein. He measures the lords of light, and fiery orbs that spin. No riddle of darkest night he dares not look within. Athwart the roaring rack of stars he plumbs the chasm of heaven. The wings of the wind are his, to him the world is given. His servant the lightning is, and slave the ocean even. He scans the mountains yet unclimbed, and sounds the solid sea. With fingers of thought he holds what is or e'er can be, and touching it not unfolds the sealed mystery. The pygmy hands, eyes, head God gave, a giant's are become. But though to this height sublime by labor he hath clomb, one summit he hath to climb, one deep the more to plumb, to read himself and rule himself, and so to reach the sum. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Moloch by Joseph Seaman Cotter, Jr. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. Moloch. Old Moloch walks the way tonight on Flanders' poppied field, where foe meets foe in steel and might, and never one shall yield. Old Moloch of the fiery shrine, deep in the throes of pain, cries for the bleeding anodyne of flesh of youths again. Heart of my heart went out tonight, where Moloch holds the way, to lads of brown and black and white, who blazon freedom's day. Tear down the shrine of Moloch there, from crimson field and glen. Tear down the shrine of Moloch where it shames the hearts of men. End a poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Night Has a Thousand Eyes by Francis William Bourdillon. Read for LibriVox.org by Brianna. The night has a thousand eyes, and the day but one. Yet the light of the bright world dies with the dying sun. The mind has a thousand eyes, and the heart but one. Yet the light of a whole life dies when love is done. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Northern Seas by Mary Howitt. Read for LibriVox.org by Matt Perard. Up, up, let us a voyage take. Why sit we here at ease? Find us a vessel tight and snug, bound for the northern seas. I long to see the northern lights with their rushing splendors fly, like living things with flaming wings, wide o'er the wondrous sky. I long to see those icebergs vast, with heads all crowned with snow, whose green roots sleep in the awful deep, 200 fathoms low. I long to hear the thundering crash of their terrific fall, and the echoes from 1,000 cliffs like lonely voices call. There shall we see the fierce white bear, the sleepy seals aground, and the spouting whales that to and fro sail with a dreary sound. There may we tread on depths of ice that the hairy mammoth hide, perfect as when in times of old the mighty creature died. And while the unsetting sun shines on through the still heaven's deep blue, we'll traverse the azure waves, the herds of the dread sea horse to view. We'll pass the shores of solemn pine, where wolves and black bears prowl, and away to the rocky isles of mist to rouse the northern fowl. Up there shall start 10,000 wings with a rustling, whistling din. Up shall the auk and fulmar start, all but the fat penguin. And there, in the wastes of the silent sky, with the silent earth below, we shall see far off to his lonely rock the lonely eagle go. Then softly, softly we will tread by inland streams to see where the pelican of the silent north sits there all silently. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode on the Spring by Thomas Gray. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Lo, where the rosy bosom dowers fair Venus's train appear, disclose the long expecting flowers and wake the purple year. The Attic warbler pours her throat, responsive to the cuckoo's note, the untaught harmony of spring, while whispering pleasure as they fly, cool zephyrs through the clear blue sky their gathered fragrance fling. Where'er the oak's thick branches stretch a broader, browner shade, where'er the rude and moss-grown beech or canopies the glade, beside some water's rushy brink, with me the muse shall sit, and think, at ease reclined in rustic state, how vain the ardor of the crowd, how low, how little are the proud, how indigent the great. Still is the toiling hand of care, the panting herd's repose. Yet hark, how through the peopled air the busy murmur glows. The insect youth are on the wing, eager to taste the honeyed spring, and float amid the liquid noon. Some lightly o'er the current skim, some shew their gaily gilded trim, quick glancing to the sun. To contemplation's sober eye, such is the race of man, and they that creep and they that fly shall end where they began. alike the busy and the gay, but flutter through life's little day, in fortune's varying colors dressed, brushed by the hand of rough mischance, or chilled by age, their airy dance they leave in dust to rest. Methinks I hear in accents low the sportive kind reply, "Poor moralist, and what art thou, a solitary fly? Thy joys no glittering female meets, no hive hast thou of hoarded sweets, no painted plumage to display, on hasty wings thy youth is flown, thy sun is set, thy spring is gone, we frolic while 'tis May." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
On the monument of the Honourable Robert Digby and of his sister Mary, erected by their father, the Lord Digby, in the church of Sherborne in Dorsetshire, 1727, by Alexander Pope. Read for LibriVox.org, by Sonia. Go, fair example of untainted youth, of modest wisdom and pacific truth, composed in sufferings, and in joy sedate, good without noise, without pretension great, just of thy word, in every thought sincere, who knew no wish but what the world might hear. Of softest manners, unaffected mind, lover of peace, and friend of humankind, go, live, for heaven's eternal year is thine. Go, and exalt thy mortal to divine. And thou, blessed maid, attendant on his doom, pensive hast followed to the silent tomb, steered the same course to the same quiet shore, not parted long, and now to part no more. Go, then, where only bliss sincere is known. Go, where to love and to enjoy are one. Yet take these tears, mortality's relief, and till we share your joys, forgive our grief. These little rites a stone, a verse receive. 'Tis all a father, all a friend can give. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Poet and the Political Economist, by Charles Mackay. Read for LibriVox.org, by Newgatenovelist. The Political Economist. Prithee, poet, why this spinning verses all the day? Vain and idle thy vocation, thy art useless to the nation, in thy labour and thy play. Little doth the world esteem thee, and it takes thee at thy worth. Loftiest rhyme that e'er was fashioned, sounding, gorgeous, or impassioned, is a drug upon the earth. Go, and be a cotton spinner, put thy hand upon the spade, weave a basket out of willow, dig the mine, or sail the billow, anything but such a trade. The Poet. Why thy scorn, O man of logic? Speak of that within thy ken. I despise thee not. Thy labours, if they make us better neighbours, are not valueless to men. Highly all the world esteems thee, and a poet may declare that the wise should place reliance on the efforts of thy science to diminish human care. Bring thy hidden truths to daylight, and I'll ne'er complain of thee. Dull thou'rt called, and dullness cumbers, yet there's wisdom in thy numbers. Leave my numbers unto me. Each of us fulfils a duty, and, though scorned, I'll cling to mine, with a passion ever growing in my heart to overflowing. Cling thou with as much to thine. Thou'rt a preacher, I'm a prophet. Thou discoursest to thy time, I discourse to generations, and the thoughts of unborn nations shall be fashioned by my rhyme. Thou to dubious politicians, staid and passionless and slow, givest pros and cons with candour, bland and patient, ever blander as thy trim deductions flow. I send forth electric flashes to the bosom of the crowd, rule its pulses, cheer its sadness, make it throb and pant with gladness, till it answers me aloud. Not for me to linger idly, gathering garlands by the way, singing but of flowers and sunsets, lovers' vows, or nightly onsets, or of ladies fair as May? No, the poet loves his calling, nature's lyre is all his own. He can sweep its strings prophetic till the nations, sympathetic, gather breathless to its tone. For he knows the people listen when a mighty spirit speaks, and that none can stir them duly but the man who loves them truly, and from them his impulse seeks what they feel but cannot utter, what they hope for day and night. These the words by which he fires them, prompts them, leads them, and inspires them to do battle for the right. These the words by which the many cope for justice with the few. These their watchwords when oppression would resist the small concession, but a fraction of their due. These the poet, music-hearted, blazons to the listening land, and for these all lands shall prize him, though the foolish may despise him, or the wise misunderstand. Go thy way then, man of logic, in thy fashion speak thy truth. Thou hast fixed, and I have chosen. Thou shalt speak to blood that's frozen, I to vigour and to youth. Haply we shall both be useful, and, perchance, more useful thou, if their full degree of merit to all other moods of spirit thou wilt cheerfully allow. As for me, I fear no scorning, and shall speak with earnest mind what is in me, self-rewarded if I aid, though unregarded, the advancement of my kind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Poppy by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Scott Solem on April 9th, 2018 in Windmore, Pennsylvania. To Monica. Summer set lip to earth's bosom bare, and left the flushed print in a poppy there. Like a yawn of fire from the grass it came, and the fanning wind puffed it to flapping flame. With burnt mouth red like a lion's it drank the blood of the sun as he slaughtered sank, and dipped its cup in the purpurate shine, when the eastern conduits ran with wine, till it grew lethargied with fierce bliss, and how as the swinked gypsy is, and drowsed in sleepy savageries, with mouth wide apout for a sultry kiss. A child and man paced side by side, treading the skirts of eventide, but between the clasp of his hand and hers lay felt not 20 withered years. She turned with the rout of her dusk south hair, and saw the sleeping gypsy there, and snatched and snapped it in swift child's whim, with "Keep it long as you live" to him, and his smile as nymphs from their laving mirrors trembled up from a bath of tears, and joy like a muse sea-rocked apart tossed on the waves of his troubled heart, for he saw what she did not see, that as kindled by its own fervency, the verge shriveled inward smolderingly. And suddenly twixt his hand and hers, he knew the 20 withered years, no flower but 20 shriveled years. Was never such thing until this hour, low to his heart he said, the flower of sleep brings wakening to me, and of oblivion memory. Was never this thing to me, he said, though with bruised poppies my feet are red. And again to his own heart very low, O child, I love, for I love and know. But you who love nor know at all, the diverse chambers in love's guest hall, where some rise early, few sit long, in how differing accents hear the throng his great Pentecostal tongue, who know not love from amity, nor my reported self from me. A fair fit gift is this, meseems, you give this withering flower of dreams. O frankly fickle and fickly true, do you know what the days will do to you? To your love and you, what the days will do? O frankly fickle and fickly true, you have loved me fair 3 lives or days. 'Twill pass with the passing of my face, but where I go your face goes too, to watch lest I play false to you. I am but my sweet your foster lover, knowing well when certain years are over, you vanish from me to another, yet I know and love like the foster mother. So frankly fickle and fickly true, for my brief life while I take from you, this token fair and fit meseems, for me this withering flower of dreams. The sleep flower sways in the weed its head, heavy with dreams as that with bread. The goodly grain and the sun-flushed sleeper, the reaper reaps, and time the reaper. I hang mid men my needless head, and my fruit is dreams as theirs is bread. The goodly man and the sun-hazed sleeper, time shall reap but after the reaper. The world shall glean of me the sleeper. Love, love your flower of withered dream, in leaved rhyme lies safe I deem, sheltered and shut in a nook of rhyme, from the reaper man and his reaper time. Love, I fall into the claws of time, but last within a leaved rhyme, all that the world of me esteems, my withered dreams, my withered dreams. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Quickness by Henry Vaughan, 1621 to 1695. Read for LibriVox.org. Quickness. False life, a foil and no more. When wilt thou be gone? Thou foul deception of all men, that would not have the true come on. Thou art a moon-like toil, a blind self-posing state, a dark contest of waves and wind, a mere tempestuous debate. Life is a fixed, discerning light, a knowing joy, no chance or fit, but ever bright, and calm and full, yet doth not cloy. 'Tis such a blissful thing, that still doth vivify, and shine, and smile, and hath the skill to please without eternity. Thou art a toilsome mole, or less a moving mist, but life is, what none can express, a quickness which my God hath kissed. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Runner McGee by Edgar A. Guest. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Runner McGee, who had return if possible orders. You've heard a good deal of the telephone wires, he said as we sat at our ease, and talked of the struggle that's taking men's lives in these terrible days o'er the seas. But I've been through the thick of the thing, and I know when a battle's begun, it isn't the phone you depend on for help, it's the legs of a boy who can run. It isn't because of the phone that I'm here. Today you're talking to me because of the grit and the pluck of a boy. His name was Runner McGee. We were up to our deadline and fighting alone. Some plan had miscarried, I guess. And the help we were promised had failed to arrive. We were showing all signs of distress. Our curtain of fire was ahead of us still, and theirs was behind us and thick. And there wasn't a thing we could do for ourselves. The few of us left had to stick. You haven't much chance to get central and talk on the phone to the music of guns. Getting word to the chief is a matter right then that is up to the fellow who runs. I'd sent 4 of 'em back with the RIP sign, which means to return if you can. But none of 'em got through the curtain of fire. My hurry call died with the man. Then Runner McGee said he tried to get through. I hated to order the kid. On his mission of death, thought he'd never get by. But somehow or other he did. Yes, he's dead. Died an hour after bringing us word that the chief was aware of our plight, and for us to hang on to the ditch that we held, the reserves would relieve us at night. Then we stuck to our trench and we stuck to our guns. You know how you'll fight when you know that new strength is coming to fill up the gaps. There's heart in the force of your blow. It wasn't till later I got all the facts. They wanted McGee to remain. They begged him to stay. He had cheated death once and was foolish to try it again. RIP are my orders, he answered them all, and back to the boys I must go. 4 of us died coming out with the news. It will help them to know that you know. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sinfonia Eroica by Amy Levy. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. To Sylvia. My love, it was a day in June, a mellow, drowsy, golden afternoon, and all the eager people thronging came to that great hall, drawn by the magic name of one, a high magician, who can raise the spirits of the past and future days, and draw the dreams from out the secret breast, giving them life and shape. I, with the rest, sat there athirst, a-tremble for the sound, and as my aimless glances wandered round, far off, across the hushed, expectant throng, I saw your face that faced mine. Clear and strong rushed forth the sound, a mighty mountain stream. Across the clustering heads mine eyes did seem by subtle forces drawn, your eyes to meet. Then you, the melody, the summer heat, mingled in all my blood, and made it wine. Straight I forgot the world's great woe and mine. My spirit's murky lead grew molten fire. Despair itself was rapture. Ever higher, stronger and clearer rose the mighty strain. Then sudden fell, then all was still again, and I sank back, quivering as one in pain. Brief was the pause. Then, mid a hush profound, slow on the waiting air swelled forth a sound, so wondrous sweet that each man held his breath, a measured, mystic melody of death. Then back you leaned your head, and I could note the upward outline of your perfect throat. And ever, as the music smote the air, mine eyes from far held fast your body fair. And in that wondrous moment seemed to fade my life's great woe, and grow an empty shade which had not been, nor was not. And I knew not which was sound, and which, O love, was you. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sonnet XCII by Anna Seward. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Behold that tree in autumn's dim decay, stripped by the frequent chill and eddying wind, where yet some yellow, lonely leaves we find lingering and trembling on the naked spray, 20 perchance, from millions whirled away. Emblem, alas, too just of humankind, vain man expects longevity, designed for few indeed, and their protracted day, what is it worth that wisdom does not scorn? The blasts of sickness, care, and grief appall, that laid the friends in dust whose natal morn rose near their own, and solemn is the call. Yet, like those weak, deserted leaves forlorn, shivering they cling to life and fear to fall. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spring, the Sweet Spring, by Thomas Nash. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Spring, the sweet spring, is the year's pleasant king. Then blooms each thing, then maids dance in a ring. Cold doth not sting, the pretty birds do sing. Cuckoo, jug jug, poo-wee, to-wit-da-woo. The palm and may make country houses gay. Lambs frisk and play, the shepherds pipe all day. And we hear, aye, birds tune this merry lay. Cuckoo, jug jug, poo-wee, to-wit-da-woo. The fields breathe sweet, the daisies kiss our feet. Young lovers meet, old wives a sunning sit. In every street these tunes our ears do greet. Cuckoo, jug jug, poo-wee, to-wit-da-woo. Spring, the sweet spring. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Sunday Baseball by William F. Kirk. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. The East Side Slashers were playing the terrors, piling up hits, assists, and errors. Far from their stuffy tenement homes, that cluster thicker than honeycombs, they ran the bases like busy bees, fanned by the Hudson's cooling breeze. Mrs. Hamilton Marshall Gray, coming from church, chanced to pass that way. She saw the frolicking urchins there, their shrill cries splitting the Sabbath air. "Mercy!" she murmured, "this must stop," then promptly proceeded to call a cop. And the cop swooped down on the luckless boys, stopping their frivolous Sunday joys. Mrs. Hamilton Marshall Gray spoke to her coachman and drove away, through beautiful parks or shady roads, past splashing fountains and rich abodes. Reaching her home, she was heard to say, "How awful to break the Sabbath day!" The Slashers and the Terrors, side by side, started their stifling subway ride, down through the city, ever down to the warping walls of tenement town. Reaching their homes, the troublesome tots crept away to their shabby cots, and dreamed of the grass and the droning bees, of pure cool air and wavering trees, and how they had played their baseball game, till the beautiful Christian lady came. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Then I Would Love You by Joseph Seaman Cotter, Jr. Read for LibriVox.org by Nemo. Then I would love you. Were you to come, with your clear gray eyes, as calmly placid as, in summer's heat, at noontide lie the sultry skies, with your dark brown hair smoothly quiet as the leaves, when stirs no cooling breath of air, and shorn of smile your full red lips, pressed firmly close as the chaliced bud, before the nectar quaffing bee e'er sips, I would not know you, I would not love you. But should you come, with your love-bright eyes, dancing gaily as, on summer's eve, the stars adown the western skies, with your hair wind-caught and circled round your shining face, in fashion which no hand e'er wrought, and your full red lips poised saucily, as the slender moon midst an 100 stars, and held aloof in daring taunt to me, then I would know you, then I would love you. End a poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Three Angels by Ronald Ross. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Heaven, vexed in heaven, heard the world, and all the grief thereof, and sent the angel Strength. Swift he unfurled his wings, and flashed his sword, and went. But still the cry of earth rang to the firmament. Then gentle Love, most loved in heaven, heaven sent to earth. His large eyes shone, upcast with glory, from God given, and darkening downward from the throne, he fell, nor bated yet the far terrestrial moan. Then all the host of heaven, amazed, cried, Next let wisdom go, and prove himself, and conquer. But he raised his face and answered, Heaven above, like them alone I fail. Send with me strength and love. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The West Wind by John Masefield. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. It's a warm wind, the west wind, full of birds' cries. I never heard the west wind, but tears are in my eyes. For it comes from the west lands, the old brown hills, and April's in the west wind, and daffodils. It's a fine land, the west land, for hearts as tired as mine. Apple orchards blossom there, and the air's like wine. There is cool green grass there, where men may lie at rest, and the thrushes are in song there, fluting from the nest. Will you not come home, brother? You have been long away. It's April and blossom time, and white is the spray, and bright is the sun, brother, and warm is the rain. Will you not come home, brother, home to us again? The young corn is green, brother, where the rabbits run. It's blue sky and white clouds and warm rain and sun. It's song to a man's soul, brother, fire to a man's brain, to hear the wild bees and see the merry spring again. Larks are singing in the west, brother, above the green wheat. So will you not come home, brother, and rest your tired feet? I've a balm for bruised hearts, brother, sleep for aching eyes, says the warm wind, the west wind, full of birds' cries. It's the white road westwards is the road I must tread, to the green grass, the cool grass, the rest for heart and head, to the violets and the brown brooks and the thrush's song, in the fine land, the west land, the land where I belong. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wraths by Ronald Ross. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. My soul is full of fire, wrath, and tempestuous dirge. I feel but one desire, to find a sword and scourge. Since man by right of birth, and nature's gift at least, a god upon the earth, remaineth but a beast, ill-ruling, blind, and halt, and not by powers unknown, or far-off heaven's fault, but chiefly by his own. Lies! Let us drink them up, the sweet and bitter lies. Man takes the maddening cup, and drinks, and dreams, and dies. Pure as revealing morn, the angel Truth stands there, but we, O basely born, dare not to look at her. Not by eternal laws, condemned to eternal ruth, we suffer, but because we dare not face the truth. We wreath and sanctify us to the inferior gods, for things which vilify us we lash ourselves with rods. We rip our veins and bleed before the gods of mire, for Moloch without need consume our babes in fire. But the greatest God of all in eternal silence reigns, to his high audience hall no human soul attains.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Young Men's Petition to Their Employers by Charles Mackay. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Written at the request of the Friends of the Early Closing Movement at Ipswich. We form no vain capricious wish, no idle words deliver. The boon we want is small to grant, a trifle to the giver, but great to us as health and strength, and sweet as virtuous pleasure. A little time at evening chime, an hour or two of leisure. We ask it not that we may throw a burden on a neighbour, nor seek it coward-like to shirk our share of honest labour. We feel and cherish the belief that, were the gift accorded, we'd work with double energy, and earn it ere afforded. Nor do we crave those evening hours for idle dissipation, for lure of vice, for cards or dice, or worthless conversation. We wish to breathe the breath of heaven when summer airs invite us, or read in wintry nights the books that teach us and delight us. Not that this new-born work of mind our work of hand shall fetter. 'Tis wise ambition to aspire from good things to the better. Not that we'll soar above the shop, or scorn our means of living, though life has something else to give, as greatly worth the giving. Oh no, we'll not neglect the round of still recurring duty, but see and love in leisure gained the charm of moral beauty. And hope shall make us better men. Be you the impartial judges, and watch us grow in self-respect, in ceasing to be drudges. Grant then the boon, the gain to us will make you none the poorer. Free service profits more than slave, its gratitude is surer. The 10 hours' toil of thankful hearts is better worth receiving than toil of 10 and 5, enforced mid discontent and grieving. That we may know the sympathies mid ceaseless toil denied us, that we may taste the mental stores which books and men provide us, that we may share the boundless wealth of intellectual pleasure, give us, we pray, at close of day, an hour or two of leisure. So may your wealth from year to year increase like cornfields growing. So may your cup of mortal joy be full to overflowing. So never may compunctious throb disturb your contemplation, that you refused your fellow men the chance of education. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.